What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Grind Force Gaming. Nova here, and today's video is going to be all about this amazing tier list that you see right next to you. We're going to get into this really quickly here. First, I wanted to introduce DatSkat. He's on the call with us today. What's going on, Skat?
What's going on, Grind Force? Nice to be here.
He is a decent amount farther than I am in the game right now, so I thought it'd be awesome to get him in on this call. He's got some really great insight into what I've already kind of built here and also on how some of the later game functionality works. So he's going to be an incredible resource for this. Skat, tell me right now, first of all, how do you feel about this list that I have here?
I agree with it mostly.
Okay. So we're on the right track.
Yes, I think that there are a lot of really good things going on with this list. I'm very eager to discuss this in more detail.
How do you feel about how I have placed things here? How do you feel about my SSS priority, my SS only? That's going to be the key feature of this video here. And then high priority versus low priority.
Yeah, so your SS priority row is pretty well spot on. Um, I would I take issue with having poison up there.
Okay.
Now I feel very strongly to poison because she is my only 5-star SSS character that I have right now. Totally maxed out, and I love using my poison. I have since
Okay.
day one. Um, However, I do think that Mad Ryu, as far as a damage dealer, is going to be more important if you're building one damage dealer for the Thunder class. Um,
Okay.
I think that his passive outweighs Poison's ability to silence people. Um, if Mad Ryu's passive goes off, it's over. It's just over. He's too strong.
He is
Um,
very, very strong. That's for
I
sure.
love it.
And I would like to say, though, I do have both of them here in SSS, and I don't disagree with you. I think it's going to probably be one or the other. The reason I have them both here is for that exact statement. You're going to probably build Poison or Mad Ryu over building Combat Guile. He's very good. He got me through a lot of the early stages, but I will say these two have a higher functionality, so it's kind of like who you get in your draws. If you're getting Mad Ryu and you build him, then you would probably drop Poison down, right?
I think so. You always have to keep in mind when you're deciding things in this game, what has the game given you? If the game has not given you Mad Ryu fodder, you can't build him. And
Right.
then and then he's not good. And if the game has given you a lot of poison fodder, yet you've neglected to build her because you think to yourself, "Oh, I should be building Mad Ryu." That would be a mistake in my opinion. I think then you build the poison.
Right.
So you always have to pay attention to whatever the team or the game is giving you,
Follow the
and
path that's presented, right?
follow the path. There's a little bit of a lottery system, a lot of bit of a lottery system with this game. So there are many different ways you can branch off and build different characters to fill different niche positions within your lineups.
Right.
I think that that is indicative of the Mad Ryu Poison placement in your SSS priority top tier.
Just purely based on that absolute fact here is that Dulcim is going to be one that you are going to want to have as an SSS priority because he's the best flame faction that we have in the game right now, without a doubt. So it's going to be very important for you that you branch out as much as possible in the early game the fighters that you are building up and focusing to get to that SSS tier, because once you get there, you don't need the base fodder anymore. You just need that specific fighter to do your upgrades. But if you have all of your SSS fighters that you're trying to build to that level, right? Trying to build to SSS, and those are your limit break, it's going to be very difficult for you to keep leveling them up if they're all one faction. It's good to
Yeah,
have that spread out.
you're gonna run out of fodder, and
Yeah.
you're gonna hit a ceiling, and it's not gonna be very fun for you. Um, so Here's a quick example from my gameplay: is I used Fei Long, I brought him all the way up to 240, not because I wanted to use him, but because I wasn't building any other fire characters and I could use the fodder.
Right. And you were getting Lei Fang as well in your pulls, so you had the cards of him needed to
Yep.
increase that grade when it was required.
I think he was my second SSS character, and I've never put him in any of my serious lineups.
And yet it bolstered the rest of your teams, right?
Well, 100%, because at some point I unlocked Fashion Blanca, and then I had a very high level character that I wasn't going to plan on using in any team composition that I could attach that legendary Fashion Blanca to. So
Right,
it ended up
exactly.
working out for me.
And you'll see
Um,
I didn't put him in here. And that's just simply because all you're doing is connecting him to your highest level fighter that he's not going to be in the same lineup or assisting with. And he's going to gain that tier immediately. So, like, you don't even have to build him. You just build other things
correct.
that you attach him. So, there's a very interesting concept here that you've probably noticed, and that's that we have the SS only category. It's obviously going to be important that we build everybody to SSS. We do have information now from some of the whale accounts that later in the game you are going to have certain fighters at SSS in order to even play certain things. So you have to get them all there, right? But this is like early game concept here. Are there fighters that you can get to SS and just stop, and they will still make a huge difference in your gameplay? And these are the three fighters that I think take the priority in that concept, right? So Bison being the first, Street Poison being the second, and then Rose being the third. Okay. These three are going to be the ones that you want to push to SS and then probably just leave alone for a little while. Scat, you've been using Bison. You have him at SSS, don't you?
I do.
Which is insane.
It's awesome.
But the reason that I bring this up is because at SS you unlock the fighting spirit, and some of these fighters have a very incredible mechanic. We'll talk about Bison first because I think he's one that you are definitely going to be using in your lineup no matter what, and you just need to get him in and you need to utilize him. When you get him to SS, you're able to unlock his fighting spirit, and at level 20, his Infernal King is going to affect all other teammates, giving them 20% increased damage for the rest of the match. That is just
Yeah,
insane.
yeah. If I can interject here, I
Sure.
cannot stress to the audience of this video how important M. Bison is to the whole operation of anything you're trying to do in Street Fighter Duel. He is single-handedly the most important fighter in the game, bar none,
Without a doubt.
without a doubt. Second, maybe to be Zangief. Get Bison to SS and get that fighting spirit unlocked into level
Yeah.
20 as fast as possible.
That is
You're
that is a never-ending boost to your team because he doesn't get eliminated until everybody else on your team has been eliminated. So that damage boost remains for the entirety of the battle, whether you win or you lose.
incredible, incredible. You need to spend all of your gems on the divination to get
Yep.
him to SS immediately. It will change your entire game for the rest of Street Fighter Duel.
Yep.
Like I do not run a serious squad without M Bison. I don't, and I don't think many people do.
Yeah,
Not
I'm the
anybody
same
who's
way.
serious about this game.
He is a mainstay. It's always Bison, and then who do I add in? Who do I need to interchange in order to beat specific lineups?
You bet.
And then once
You
you
bet.
so once you get Bison to SS, then you can start building his SS fighting spirit up, and you can change your divination then at that point to either Street Poison or to Rose. This is a debatable concept here because Rose is the master faction. So I would argue, and I think Scat was correct in saying this to me before. He talked about how you should always go for the master or the infernal characters in the divination because they're harder to get. But I think it depends on your lineup as well. You could do that for Street Poison. I did, but you can get her because she's just win faction from your regular draws. So it's a little bit easier to build her up.
But I think that this is the point of this SS only tier.
Right.
Because if the burden of your investment is to get somebody like Street Poison, who is a normal faction hero fighter, you can justify using divinations to get 2 or 3 copies or 4 copies of her and get her to SS, unlock the fighting spirit, and then just shelf her. And you will naturally, through faction summons and regular draws and whatever, obtain copies of her,
Correct.
and build her to SSS without focusing her. And
Right.
then you can choose your focus onto somebody else. I did this as well with my divination. I think I did it with Poison and Chung Li and Elena before I made the hard switch to uh trendy Cammy
Right.
for my divinations. And I won't do a normal faction for my divinations anymore because I've gotten past that threshold. But there
Right.
was a time to get past certain nodes, I needed certain characters at a certain level, and that's when you can start using that divination to really spear point your efforts and your investment into something you need and you need, generally
Correct.
depending on what other characters the game has given you over time.
Correct.
Um, for example, the game gave me a lot of shock damage characters. So it was very important for me to build my poison up and my Blanca up to get that base shock damage going off. I didn't get a lot of combat guiles, so I couldn't use him. So I decided to use my divinations to get Blanca and poison up to a certain level
Right.
before, it,
The
it
highest
helps.
value is what you need. Right.
That's you nailed it. The highest value for any person is just simply what you need now.
Right.
That's the value.
And that is
Um,
why I actually have Street Poison in this SS only list in the first place, was because of noticing the value upon her release. And it's because of her first skill doing an increase of 30% crit damage. It's just absolutely nuts. And when you check her fighting spirit at level 10, it's giving 80 boost to your super gauge. And at level 20, it's giving a chance to do an additional stack of that crit damage. There's a
it's
25%
nuts.
chance that when skill 1 goes off, you will end up with a 60% increase in crit damage. It's insane. And this is why I went for her in the divination. I felt that I
Yeah.
needed that fighter. And let me tell you, it made a huge difference.
What did it do for you?
It gave my Chun-Li and my Dalsim the ability to basically almost nuke teams even at stages or like chapters 23, 24, and 25. After getting
Mhm.
her, I was stuck in 23. I got her. I used her as an A because I didn't get
Mhm.
any other pulls for her. I used her just as an A. I took Elena out of my lineup and I ran Bison, Chun-Li, Dalsim, and then I ran Street Poison in the tag because she was just an A and she's super weak. Had
Mhm.
her one skill slotted for slot 1, and I steamrolled all the way through 23, 24, into the end of 25.
I know, and it made me spend money so I could keep catching up with you.
And that's the point here, right? There are certain mechanics for there are certain mechanics for fighters that need to be recognized here. And that's the whole idea behind this SS only category, is that you don't need to build everyone to SSS to make a difference. Some of these fighters get what they need far earlier. Some of them are already built in with that mechanic. Like Elena having her heal, slot 1 skill.
Mhm.
She's
Mhm.
viable just as an A. If you keep her in the
Mhm.
tag, she's not getting eliminated. She's just going to come in, introduce a heal, and she's going to leave. Even in
Mhm.
slot 2, doing the defensive boost and doing her speed up boost. I mean, these are things that are just really good to keep an eye out for, because the grade of the hero has no bearing on the skill's performance. If it's doing a buffing or some type of like bolstering to the rest of the team, if you're counting on them for attack and damage, then grade matters. But in these circumstances, we're looking at passive skills. We're looking at skills that are just boosting what other teammates are already doing. So use
Yeah,
them to boost the rest of your team.
yeah, I will say the reason, in my opinion, that Elena is not SS only is simply because her heal is dependent on her max HP, and you wanna boost her up to SSS for sure.
And her
Um,
passive is giving 30% of her HP to the highest
So
attack
you want
unit
the
and
level
30% of
4.
her defense to the highest attack unit. And that's helping you keep your nuking unit alive.
Yeah, you bet. I also want to keep going down this list because now that we've touched on this, like, I don't want I don't think that people should think that that third row, the high priority row, that somebody like Trendy Cammy or Yin or Yuri, like that those characters are any bit lesser than any of these other characters. They're not.
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
they are simply characters you must take to SSS. You
Right.
can't stop at SS with these people.
Right.
You need to go to SSS because that's where they start to shine.
Right.
And the whole point of this video, in my opinion, is to highlight the fact that you can stop with M Bison at SS. You can
Correct.
stop with Street Poison at SS. If you're lucky enough, you can stop at SS with Rose.
Yeah.
Um,
And the reason you can stop at SS with Rose is, again, because of her fighting spirit, and it's because it
mhm,
increases the effect of her Taro cards that she uses. It makes her
mhm.
even better at protecting your team, right? This is the trend that we're seeing here. This is why Bison works so well, because you can pair him with Street Poison, because he's increasing by 20% damage once he goes into Infernal King. And then Street Poison is doing, potentially at level 20 of her fighting spirit, an instant proc of 60% increase in crit damage. This is making
Yikes.
your damage dealing this is making your damage dealing fighters do everything that you need them to do, which is just nuke the other team. And you could argue that maybe you could move Trendy Cammy up here, right? Maybe she shouldn't be in priority. She should just be an SSS priority. But you'll notice that in the SSS priority as it stands, that there are not any Master Faction or Infernal. And the reason for that is because these fighters in the early game are going to be very difficult for you to get. And that is why these two specifically sit so well in the SS only category.
Yeah, I think the strategy is for Masterclass and Inferno um, fighters is, first of all, you need M Bison to SS. Don't even touch the other characters until you get M Bison to SS. Don't even think about it.
Right.
Um,
Agreed.
and and then from there on, once you get Bison to SS, switch him out of divination and put whatever character you think is awesome, minus Gore Ken because you
Because
can't get
he's
him from divination. But
that is why
uh,
he is at the back end of the low priority, because it's
oh, he's
like
so good though.
it's super pay to win. Same thing as Sakura. That's why she's not on the list. But
Yeah. But anyway, so
yeah,
so what I'm saying is, you choose whatever fighter from the Master faction or the Inferno faction that fits into your strategy best. For example, my strategy runs off of shock damage. So Trendy Cammy was a no-brainer. You read her
yes,
skills, she functions off shock damage. I was like, "Oh, so the game is just going to give me the rest of my squad? Okay, let's go."
that was the ultimate input for your build. Whereas
Uh-huh.
whereas for me, I'm not even going for her at all, because I slid right into the Win faction right away. I just wanted to build Chun-Li. She's fast. She has great crit damage. She has a great
Yep.
AoE. So pairing her now with Street Poison is incredible. And now I'm working on Beast Zangief as well, because I do need that control. It makes a world of a difference in game.
Mhm.
And ultimately, having the pairing of M. Bison, Chun-Li, Beast Zangief, and Street Poison is going to be pretty amazing. And I'm quite excited about having that completed.
No matter what your team composition ends up being, it is very true that certain fighters are just simply better than others. But you really need the general archetype, and that is you're going to need 3 teams of 4, and in each of these teams you need some sort of tank or uh, soaker up of damage. You
Yep.
need a damage dealer. You need a battlefield manipulator, and then you need an assist character or another damage dealer.
Sure.
Um, and depending if you have M Bison in there, because he can be your tank and battlefield manipulator. But you basically need those 4 roles slotted in 3 different teams,
Correct.
and that's the goal. That's the
Right.
goal. So however you want to fill those roles, just don't put Charming Dudley in. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
and don't.
we'll leave Charming Dudley down here.
uh, You shouldn't be using T-Hawk. You know,
Yeah.
like
Well, it's not
like
to say that these fighters down here are just like terrible and you shouldn't use them at all, because obviously you should be using Fashion Blanca. Obviously you should use Fashion Sakura if you have her. These two, do great with stun. There's a time and a place, right? But when it comes to like focusing and getting the most out of what you are getting in the early game, from what we've both seen, these are your highest tier fighters to use.
Yeah, I think that you have made one mistake in this list.
Tell me it.
And this is a theory of mine because I haven't
Okay.
built this person. Uh, but I would put him at low priority, and that would
Okay.
be Guy. That would be Guy, because out of all of these
Okay.
characters down here on the bottom, Guy is one of the few that has a very specific purpose, and that is a backline nuke. Low priority, just because uh, you only you only need a backline nuke every now and then. For example, what was it? It was 25-20, wasn't it? Or 26-20?
26
20
20,
it,
25
no,
20.
it was 25-20.
25-20 was very
There
difficult.
there is a Cammy and a Beast Zangief and a Bison and
Yep.
an Abel. And
Yep.
that fight, if you don't take care of that Cammy, it's over.
Yeah, that is
And
correct.
so I got past it by interrupting with Beast Zangief, but if you wanted to, I think that there's a play that you could make where you sub Guy in, like a super ultra powered guy, and he just takes Cammy out.
That is true. I will add him in here into the low priority. The reason I kept him out, though, I will say this: the reason I kept him out is because we've already got a lot of Wind Faction fighters in here. We've got
Mm,
Beast Zangief, we've got Chun Li, we've got Cammy, we've got Street Poison. We've even got Guile in here because of his armor break stacking as a
yeah,
high priority. I left him out because Sea Viper as Flame Faction does a similar mechanic.
she does.
Now,
Yep,
I
that's
will
true.
say that I do agree with you. I think he has a time and a place, and I think he fits nicely here in the low priority next to E Honda because they both have kind of a gimmicky function that, if used correctly in certain situations, might help you progress. But then once you pass that, it's going to be time to take them out of the lineup again.
There are certain fighters that do certain niche things that shouldn't be overlooked. But if we're talking about priority builds here with limited resources,
Yeah.
they are certainly not in the list.
If you
Like,
want
if
the
you don't have
highest
Beast
power output
Zangief,
at the start, this is it.
yeah, yeah. If you don't have Beast Zangief, but you built Dudley, I think you've made a mistake.
Yeah. And honestly, there's value in Beast Zangief even as an A. I used him
Yeah.
as an A in the beginning of chapter 25. I put him in the tag position and I just used him for the interrupt because
Yep.
he's just coming in, interrupting and leaving. Some of these fighters, like, don't overlook their mechanics because they don't need to be very high leveled with crazy gear on them to have the value that you need to pass something. You may only need one quick interrupt situation in order for your team to overcome the battle. So
Yeah.
that's why these people are here.
The only reason that Beast Zangief transcends the SS only category is just because he's so darn good.
He is so good. It's very,
He's
very true.
so darn good
I wish I'd
that
started building him earlier, to be honest.
I know.
Use his second slot skill for his spinning move.
Yep.
Time it right when the enemy is about to start their combo. He will interrupt the combo and he will end the entire combo, empty their speed bar, and they will deal no damage to you. It's broken. It's a
The
broken mechanic. Utilize it.
it's the ultimate battle manipulator
it's
right there.
incredible. So anyway,
Yeah.
guys, yeah, that's the list for you for today. Just to recap here, SSS Priority, this is who you want to see built up to deal the most damage, have the most power and most presence for you. The SS only category is who you can get to SS, unlock the fighting spirit, and start leveling that up to see incredible value. These are definitely the top 3 for that. And then high priority and low priority just kind of fall into what you need. So think about that going forward. definitely start utilizing this, and I guarantee you're going to see a higher success rate in passing through these story chapters. Scat, thank you so much for hopping on the call.
Thanks for having me, Nova. I truly appreciate it. Thanks
For
for
sure.
giving me the time. Yep.
For sure, man. We will do more of these. So if you are enjoying seeing the Street Fighter Duel videos from us here at Grindforce Gaming, DatSkat is a Grindforce Gaming team member. We are going to be doing a lot more of these. So stay tuned. Take a moment to subscribe, throw a like on the video, comment as well, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
See ya.